crazy thing. All right. Hey, guys. Well, you're not there yet, but you will be shortly. Let me move my camera around. It's on this new stand that's driving me crazy. All right, there we go. All right, that's good enough-ish. Get this thing adjusted. Hello, all. Anybody there yet? Not yet. Not yet. There we go. Oh, all right. There we go. Hey, Alec. I just got it set up a little late. You know how it is. All right, let me get TikTok going. Actually, did you guys before TikTok today? TikTok. 1 second, all. All right, go live on TikTok. Hey, guys. Yep, sorry. I even set up the weekend one first and then went, oh, God, I don't have today's set up. It's like, oops, sorry. Anyway, it's okay. Oh, I've got my coffee. I've got my water. That's good. All right, Discord is back. 1 second here. Discord. Boom. All righty. 3 events. Go to channel. There we go. Okay, I am live. Oh, no, I'm not live. Camera. Now I'm live. There we go. All right. Hang on, guys. I'm adjusting Discord. Oops. My camera is in the way, hiding everything. There we go. All right. Now let me get TikTok rolling, and then we are set. I think we're pretty good, though. We've got a lot of news today, actually. All right. Sorry, live. There we go. Live call. 1 quick second here. Some wild news today. Bill Gates, just destroyed Elon Musk. I mean, really bad. Good, but bad. So I'll be reading that in a minute to you. A good amount of news today, actually. Anyway. All right. Let's get rolling here. So welcome. Oh, sorry, TikTok. I guess I could start TikTok. That wouldn't kill me. 1 sec here. We're starting TikTok. I'm being spacey. Boop. All right. I actually was ready on time and then didn't print it out. And it was like, okay, whatever. Hold on. Adjusting this still because it's still annoying me. Is that better? I don't think it matters where the camera's okay. All right. It feels like the camera's a little low, but I think we're okay. All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Oop, move my microphone down a little. Welcome, TikTokers, Discord, YouTube. How are we doing this evening? Hello, my light's a little bright. Light, be a little less bright. Oop. Really? I changed the setting already, did I? I hate when I do this. I think that's the one. There we go. Okay. This little contraption is so hard to manipulate my light. Anyway, good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing? Hello. TikTok, YouTube, Discord. Thank you, Carol, for the gifts. Thank you, Russell, Ash. Thanks, guys. So what's going on? Welcome, guys. It's Friday night. Woo-woo. Or almost Friday night here in Washington, 6 o'clock at night. I guess that counts as night. I'm John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest news from America, scary as it is, and then the latest news from Ukraine as well. Yeah, so there we go. Trying to think. Tomorrow we've got our coffee talk. So remember, everybody who is a monthly subscriber, join me tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's Washington, D.C. or New York City time. Yes, I guess I can plug in my good microphone if you demand it. If I remember. Whoever said Carol, thank you for thinking of that. There we go. But tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, thank you, Big Hawk. We've got my show I do exclusively for the paid monthly subscribers as a thank you. So join me. Anybody on TikTok who's got SNN next to their names, like Robert right there, join us tomorrow morning. On Discord, it's all the people with names that are in colors, like Annie and Dave and me. And on YouTube, it's all the names in green. So join us, guys. Thank you, guys. All the gifts coming in on TikTok. Do keep the gifts coming. I always sort of hit on the gift stuff, but I do this for a living. So your guys' gifts help pay the bills. So I appreciate it. Also follow me, hit the like button, hit the hearts on TikTok, what is the like button or whatever it is on YouTube. All that stuff potentially helps get this broadcast out there. All right. So we got a lot of news today, guys. MAGA is very upset at the Pope. It seems the new Pope is not exactly crazy. And MAGA people are not very happy about this. So that's not a good thing. Or maybe it's a very good thing, actually. The Axios did Axios is a good publication here in Washington, D.C. And they did a very good sort of analysis summary of the Pope on various issues. I thought I would get into that. Thank you, Helion, for subscribing. I thought it might be worth getting into it and just going through, because I thought they did just because I'm kind of curious where he is on the issues. He's not terrible. Bottom line is, he's very much like Francis, but not quite. They're calling him sort of like Francis, but not a photocopy. Like, he's not an exact copy. I would say he's slightly more moderate than Francis, but he's not a conservative, which is great. That doesn't mean he won't be conservative on issues like abortion, gays, etc. Right? I mean, he still may, but nonetheless, across the board, he's pretty good. Thank you, Mustard, Cecilia, succeed. Lots of gifts coming in. Thank you, guys. Let me go through some of these. And thank you. Oh, thank you, Patrician, or Patrusim. I'm not going to get your name right, for the gift over on YouTube. Appreciate that. So let me go through this. Like his predecessor, Leo opposes the idea of ordaining female deacons. While Francis was known for his efforts to make the church more welcoming to members of the gay and trans community, famously asking, "Who am I to judge?" Leo may not follow in those footsteps. In 2012, he expressed concern that Western culture promotes enormous sympathy for beliefs and practices that are at odds with the gospel, specifically referring to abortion, the homosexual lifestyle, and alternative families comprised of same-sex partners and their adopted children. Dun, dun, dun. So 13 years ago, he was pretty crappy on gay stuff. Don't know how he's going to be now. His views, this one, okay, let me this. Leo's views on the Vatican's 2023 document, Fiduciae Supplicans, which permits non-liturgical blessings for same-sex couples. I'm going to guess that means like, what did they call them back in the day for gay couples? It was called like a commitment ceremony or something, but like, so in other words, it wouldn't be a church wedding, but it might be like a blessing ceremony or something. So non-liturgical blessings. So the priest could do a blessing for a gay couple, but it wouldn't be a marriage. His response to this document saying that's okay. A civil union, well, I guess a civil union, but it would be it sounds like it's a religious, civil union was the word I was looking for, Sherpatzi. Yep. But it sounds like it's a religious blessing for a civil union. So not a marriage, but the priest would still come and do a blessing ceremony for the two of you, even though you're not married, right? His response to this was ambiguous. He did not wholly endorse or reject the document, instead emphasizing the need for national bishops to basically have the authority to decide on their own which way to go. That's not terrible. I mean, again, we are dealing with the Catholic Church here. We're not dealing with, the Lutherans or Episcopalians or whoever it is, or the Jews for that matter, who are very good. For him to say, when it comes to sort of blessing gay unions that aren't marriages, I'd rather leave it up to the states, so to speak, leave it up to the local authorities. That's not terrible, to be honest. During his 8-year tenure as bishop in Peru, he opposed a government plan to add teachings on gender in schools. I mean, big surprise there, right? He was in Peru and he didn't want to get into the whole gender stuff of, are there more than two genders, and having it be taught in schools. I'm not going to particularly freak out about that, right? I don't consider that the craziest, most outrageous position ever, Thank you, Pedro. Like his predecessor, he's been outspoken about the need to confront climate change. He's from Chicago. He voted in the Republican primary elections in 2012, 14, and 16, and most recently in 2024. So he votes as a Republican. His most recent retweet was critical of the Trump administration's partnership with El Salvador to deport immigrants without legal status. He also criticized J.D. Vance for suggesting that people who live abroad don't count. We should only care about people in your own country. He shared messages opposing, on his tweets in previous years, he shared messages opposing the death penalty, supporting vaccination during the COVID-19 pandemic, and retweeting prayers for George Floyd after his police killing in 2020. At the time, he tweeted and said, "We need to hear more from leaders in the church to reject racism and seek justice." That's what I'm saying. The guy's not terrible. Axios goes on to say that online sleuths dug up older tweets on his feed that criticized the first Trump administration, including its family separation policy, efforts to repeal deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, which was a program to basically help kids that were born in the U.S., or not even born in the U.S., who came to the U.S. when they were so young. The parents came here illegally, but they brought their kids with, and their kids were here so young that they're pretty much Americans at this point. And he criticized Trump's bad hombres rhetoric. I'm forgetting, I think it was Trump. I don't even remember that one. Was it Trump saying that the people crossing the border are some bad hombres, using the Spanish to mean some really bad men? He criticized Trump for saying that. Again, we're talking about a Catholic Pope. This is not terrible stuff. I have to say, it's not terrible stuff. We could have had Benedict, the guy with the ruby slippers. Things could be, or no, Ratzinger, as I like to call him. We could have had Ratzinger, who had his little ruby slippers, was a lot worse than this. So this is not, I think he's going to be slightly more conservative than, thank you for the gifts there, guys, Smurf and Laddie and Adventures and Jules. He's going to be slightly more conservative than Francis, but I don't think he's terrible. Move on. Bill Gates. This was a crazy story I just saw before coming on live with you guys. Bill Gates, right? Founder of Microsoft, very rich man, came out and accused Elon Musk of killing the world's poorest children by cutting U.S. foreign aid. As you know, Elon was instrumental in cutting a lot of U.S. programs and a lot of U.S. agencies. Primarily, the first one and the biggest in some ways was USAID. Elon basically killed all U.S. foreign aid, the money we send around the world to help poor, starving, and dying people not die, not starve, and not get sick. Pretty much all the U.S. money was killed by Elon. Trump obviously approved it, but Elon was the one who proposed it and did it. And Elon Musk called him a murderer of children. I'm really blown away by this quote. Listen to this. This was via the Financial Times. Gates accused Musk of killing the world's poorest children through massive cuts to the, I'm going to read you the quotes from the Washington Post summarizing Financial Times, okay? Gates accused Musk of killing the world's poorest children through massive cuts to the U.S. Agency for International Development, one of the first targets of Musk's U.S. DOGE service under the Trump administration. In an interview with the Financial Times on Thursday, Gates harshly criticized Musk, the chief executive of Tesla and the world's richest man, for all but dismantling what had been the world's largest provider of food assistance. Now, this is very interesting. I did not know that the U.S. was the largest world provider of food to the hungry, and Elon killed the entire thing. Very interesting. Let's go on. Since President Trump took office, Musk has baselessly accused USAID of being a criminal organization and declared it was time for it to die. This is one of the best parts. Bill Gates said Musk's cuts were born of ignorance, citing as one example the cancellation of grants to a hospital. Listen closely to this, okay? This one, I didn't know this detail until right now. Listen closely to this. Musk's cuts were born of ignorance, citing as one example the cancellation of grants to a hospital in Mozambique's Gaza province that helped prevent women from transmitting HIV to their babies. This was a province in Mozambique in Africa, right? And they were giving grants to help women not transmit HIV to their babies. Musk previously falsely claimed that the United States was spending $50 million to send condoms to Hamas in Gaza. We were sending drugs, anti-AIDS drugs, AIDS retrovirals, to the Gaza province of Mozambique to stop children, babies, from getting infected with HIV/AIDS. Elon heard Gaza and thought it was going to Palestine, and he thought it was going to Hamas. That's where the $50 million was going for condoms in Hamas came from, because Elon didn't understand that Mozambique was a different place than Gaza. I am blown away by this. I mean, the thing is, I had heard that the condom thing was a lie, but I didn't hear this was the reason. Elon, Gaza province in Mozambique. And Elon went, Gaza? So as a result, he pulled the AIDS drugs, because basically, and I used to actually know a lot about this, about AIDS and HIV stuff internationally. I'd done a lot of international AIDS work. But from what I recall, basically, the AIDS retrovirals, when they're given to women who are pregnant, it can stop the virus from being transmitted to the unborn child. So it's a huge deal. And by stopping the drugs, which Elon did, you literally then make it so that the virus does get transmitted to the children. On that note, Gates said, I'd love for Elon to go in and meet the children that have now been infected with HIV because he cut that money. I mean, listen to these. I'm going to read this again. Listen to these quotes from Bill Gates about Elon Musk to the Financial Times. I'd love for him, Elon Musk, to go in and meet the children that have now been infected with HIV because he cut the money. According to the Financial Times, Gates also noted that literal tons of food and medicines were going to waste because of the cuts to U.S. foreign aid, and he warned of the return of preventable diseases. Listen to the final quote from Bill Gates. The picture of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one. What is that? Boom. I mean, wow. That blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Because honestly, I don't think so, Jeff. Jeff says, isn't this true in a number of areas of cuts? I don't think so. U.S. foreign aid has been the worst. From what I know, the worst cuts that have been made so far have been to U.S. foreign aid. We're about to cut money that is going to help poor people get air conditioning in the summer. Poor people, or I should say lower income people, not even just poor, but lower income people getting support like for LIHEAP, it's called, which is the winter help for winter heating and stuff. Some of that's going to kick in soon, but I don't know of anything more deadly that I can think of than what's going on with the U.S. foreign aid. That's been the worst. I mean, the absolute worst. I am blown away by Gates saying this. Good for him. Now, I mean, I might as well sort of fill you in on the rest of the story with Gates. So Gates, announced recently that he is going to he moved up the timetable or whatever for he's got the Gates Foundation, right? That goes around the world and helps cure diseases and develop vaccines and all sorts of stuff, right? And again, fighting international AIDS, all sorts of things. Polio, for example. And Gates has recently decided he's going to put an extra $200 billion into his foundation in the next 20 years. And then the foundation will close in 2045. His idea, and I was Googling this, trying to figure out why. And the idea is he believes a couple things. One, he thinks that foundations, when they exist too long, they become, maybe not corrupt is the word, but they become less effective. They become more sclerotic. They become, older and a little more, their bones don't work as well. They don't move as quick. Think of a very old person, right? Their bones their muscles don't move as quickly. He just thinks that foundations just don't work after they become too old. So he wants his organization to end quickly. He also believes that there will be rich people in the future, and he doesn't need to create a foundation that lives forever. He wants them to spend all the money now. So he's saying for the next 20 years, spend $200 billion on curing polio, on doing a number of other things. So it's just sort of his philosophy of addressing problems. But that is not part of what's going on with his criticism of Elon, but it's part of his overall sort of approach to these things. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Couple other quick stories, and then we'll talk about Ukraine. Trump is waffling on a tax cut for the rich. This is actually rather interesting. Trump has been talking about raising taxes on the rich, which honestly is kind of a good thing. He has been sort of flirting with a proposal that raises the highest tax rate in America from something like 37% to 39% for people making over $1 million a year. And so it's not a huge increase, but it's 2% increase. It would bring in honestly, it doesn't bring in a lot of money. It was something like $50 billion over 10 years, which is not that much money. But, it's the thought that counts. A lot of Republicans some Republicans are okay with it. Some Republicans are freaking out because typically American Republicans always oppose tax increases. They always want more tax cuts. So the idea that Trump is even entertaining this is interesting. The idea that some Republicans are saying they agree with Trump is fascinating because normally they would not. Trump, however, today vacillated. Trump went back and forth. He started saying, well, but if we do this, Democrats may accuse us of being hypocrites because in the past we opposed tax cuts. I mean, that seems kind of stupid because what Democrats are going to say, in the past you did bad things and now you're doing good things. Well, then that would probably be beneficial to Republicans if Democrats say now you're doing a good thing, right? I mean, so I don't quite get the criticism. But Trump then went on and said, well, but if Republicans in Congress want to go ahead and do the tax cut, or excuse me, the tax increase on the rich, I'd be okay with it. So Trump is kind of doing, the new Trump is the king of waffles. He changes his mind left and right and can't reach a decision, and all of that. He's also waffling on China too now, on China tariffs. But he's sort of the king of waffles now, and he's now waffling on the tax increase thing on rich people. But it's interesting. It's an interesting sort of thing. The next story I was going to tell you is Trump is also suggesting that the U.S. may lower its tariffs on China from 145% to 80%. 80% still shuts down most trade with China. If you're buying a Christmas tree, an artificial Christmas tree, pretty much every artificial Christmas tree that has lights on it in America is made in China. Those trees often cost $250, $300. If the tree costs $200 and under the tariff, you would have to pay $280 in tax on a $200 tree. Now you would have to pay $160 in tax. Are you going to buy that tree? Right? A $250 tree, $160 in tax. I'm not buying that tree. So this difference of going down to 80% is kind of stupid. Again, it's Trump's waffling. And by the way, there's really something going on with him this term. He didn't waffle like this his first term. He is indecisive. He changes his mind. I mean, he's always been erratic, but in this case, he literally can't make up his mind. And he put the tariffs on China, but now he's saying, by the way, he didn't say he's cutting the tariffs to 80%. He said he's thinking of it, which is useless, right? Thinking of it? Well, I'm thinking I'd like to be king. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? I'd like to be a millionaire. What does that mean? He's thinking of it. If you're American business looking at doing business with China, which most companies do, and you're trying to plot for the future, you don't know what the hell's going on. Trump didn't say, oh, we're lowering the tariffs to 80%, which is still crazy. So at least you can plan on 80% tariffs. Trump said, we might lower the tariffs to 80%. We might not. Well, if I'm a businessman, if I'm a big company in America, I don't know what to do, which then basically chills commerce. It means big companies won't be investing at all because they don't know what the hell's going on with the tariffs, because Trump doesn't know what the hell's going on with the tariffs. Exactly. It's the concept, as David just said, it's a concept of a tariff reduction. It's not a tariff reduction. It's a concept of a tariff reduction. I mean, there's something going on with him. I really mean it. His waffling to me is absolutely fascinating with this stuff. All right, let's, we can, what I think we'll do is we're going to talk Ukraine in a second. Maybe we can chat a little bit about this if you want first, and then I'll switch to Ukraine. So, I mean, it could be psychological decline. It could be. He's got a bunch of idiots advising him, and he says, I think that's true, but I also think he's his own man, right? I mean, and Biden I put in the same camp. Biden had a bunch of idiots advising him too, like his Jake Sherman, his national security, or not Jake Sherman, what's his face? Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor. But when it comes down to it, Biden's his own man. I'm not going to let Biden get off for being kind of shitty on Ukraine because his national security advisor was kind of an idiot. Well, guess what? Who's the idiot who hired the idiot? Same thing for Trump and his advisors, right? So yeah, I can talk about Waiting was asking about a court case that came out today. I'll mention it, but there isn't much to say yet. I didn't. All right, let me say this. There's a court case came out today. I'm forgetting the woman in the Northeast. She might be in Massachusetts. I'm forgetting where, but she's one of the people who Trump arrested, one of the foreign students, and they were going to kick out of the country. They've been holding her for since March. So going on almost 2 months, maybe 6 weeks, almost 2 months now. And the court ordered that she be released, but her case is still pending. So that's the only reason I didn't get into it, because it's not like the court ordered that she's free and it's over. It's not over. But the court said you can't just hold her while this is going on in court. While we're trying to debate whether or not you can kick her out for being pro-Palestinian or being a pro-Palestinian activist. So was she one of the Harvard people, Tom? Okay, I did not remember that. Yep. So that was the story. I didn't get into it because I mean, good for her that she got out, I guess, but I don't consider it a super update because the judge didn't really decide on the proposal overall. He decided on whether she gets released on her own recognizance while the case is still going on. So anyway. Anything else? Is she Turkish? Okay. I did not remember that. Binova, is she? Okay. Beep, 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 beep.